Hey there, TLC Tribe. It's Veronica Jones here. And today I have the absolute pleasure of welcoming my special guest, Luana, who's a digital content strategist and she's based in Melbourne. Now, Luana came to me when she had some goals that she wanted to achieve in the workplace, those being amplifying her leadership, her influence, her confidence, and her presentation skills. And through our work together, she not only achieved these goals, but she truly stepped into a whole new level of confidence and resilient leadership. And she's joining us today to share her journey and the ripple effect that it's had in both her career and life. So, Luana, welcome. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, well, thank you once again for joining us. So, perhaps we can start off as I usually do in these sessions by just asking if you can share a little bit about yourself and maybe what work and life looked for like for you when we first connected.
Absolutely. So when we first connected, I was, working hard, managing responsibilities and projects across both my professional and personal life, but I felt like my confidence didn't really match the roles I was in. I often would second guess myself, especially in high stakes moments with more senior executives around me. And I knew that I wasn't really projecting the leadership presence that I wanted to. I got swept up in other people's emotional journeys and dramas, especially at work. And I really wanted those tools to be able to show up still as the empathetic, kind person that I am, but with healthy professional boundaries and that resilient leadership that I see in so many leaders that I aspire to be like.
Wow, I love the lofty goals you were setting for yourself there and what you wanted to do next. And what at that point made you feel like, right, it's now the right time to get this support and coaching? Why did you feel like this was the right step for you?
Well, I have done a lot of self-development throughout my career and had a lot of different mentors, like informal mentors. But I knew I reached a point where trying harder on my own wasn't going to get me to that next level. So coaching felt like the right next step for me because I wanted that support to strengthen my confidence, to keep me accountable, and those practical tools to help me step up.
Absolutely. Well, as you and I know, we certainly tooled up in those sessions,
Yeah.
and we'll be talking about that today. So, when you think back to those early sessions, what do you think maybe was one of the biggest challenges you were facing around confidence, leadership, or presentations?
Having the confidence when I'm under pressure because I come across as a confident person. I know how to build that, but then when it comes to crunch time, it kind of falters. So I prepare really thoroughly for presentations and meetings, but when I was in the room, I'd get stuck in my head and not always communicate with influence. So that gap between preparation and having presence was my biggest challenge.
And I think that's something that a lot of people, including myself, have struggled with at points, throughout our career. So thank you so much for honestly sharing that piece. So what did you discover about yourself through coaching that helped just shift some of these challenges you were facing?
Well, I realized that I already have a lot of the tools, the skills, the confidence already within me. I needed to activate them and trust them. So once I understood what my values were, what my strengths were, I could lean into that trust and authenticity. And I said yes more to opportunities without fear, but with more curiosity and excitement. And I flipped that fear on its head, as you taught me, Veronica, and I turned it to face everything and rise instead. So it's really strengthened my confidence to say yes and my resilient leadership in those areas.
I love that. And you're embracing the Richard Branson approach there too, where
Yes.
we say yes. We don't necessarily know how we're going to do these things, but we're going to say yes, jump out of the plane and we'll grow wings on the way down.
Figure it out on the way.
That's it. And you sure did. So what I know one of the big moments in your journey was presenting to the board, which was fantastic just to even have that opportunity. So perhaps you can share how you prepared for that and how it felt to step up and really deliver at that level.
Well, at first, I was working on challenging limiting beliefs and stories about myself, which
Mm.
was really holding me back and impacting my confidence, and then rewriting those stories, which were much more confidence boosting and true. And I also prepared my elevator pitch to understand, okay, how do I sell myself in a short amount of time, but in a way that's not, cheesy or not authentic. And I kept rehearsing it and delivering it to you as well, practicing it until I felt confident. So that was a really key moment of preparation. But then I also structured my presentation and messaging around the key goal of how can I best serve the audience, the board, the leadership team? How can I best engage them and communicate the story and the results in the most considered way? So this took the focus off me and my nerves. They think of me, and back onto the audience, the people who want to know more about my work and the strategy, which really calmed me and brought me back down to earth. Then there were also a bunch of science-backed techniques and tools like NLP, breath work, touch points, staying connected to my body and my breath, so that when I did deliver the presentation, it felt like it was a big step up. It wasn't worrying about whether I belonged there or I performed well, but it was just enjoying the process. And then I received great feedback and praise, which further cemented the experience and the learnings.
Mm,
Yeah.
great tips there, particularly about serving your audience. I know we discussed
Mhm.
this in our sessions together, but the important work you did firsthand to support your mindset. So, addressing the stories and beliefs, any of those gremlins, let's crush those. And then, in that improved state of mind, let's now look at some new strategies for the way we deliver, which is certainly what you did. And, the testament to your success in that area was certainly the positive feedback you were provided by the board. So that was sensational. From your perspective, looking back, what would you say changed the most in the way you approached presentations and speaking with influence?
Well, now I see presentations not as something I just have to get through and
Yeah.
tick off the list. I approach them more now as opportunities to connect, influence, raise my visibility, and ultimately lead. So there are opportunity to serve people information and stories, as I said before, and it's an opportunity to get creative and fun as well, which is what really lights me up, telling stories creatively, whether it's a video or maybe a song that I could somehow weave into the presentation to get people really awake and still listening. So
Mm.
that change in mindset has made me feel a lot more confident and in control of the whole journey and preparation for a presentation.
Yeah, sensational. And if we look at beyond presentations,
Mm.
I know that you wanted to elevate your influence, your leadership specifically. And what did you notice in the way you started to lead then, both with your colleagues and with your direct report?
I've noticed I've become much more intentional and responsive and less reactive. So I I can really use that thought model where I see, okay, if I have this belief or if someone said this to me, am I going to react or am I going to challenge these thoughts that I'm having and see what's evident? Uh, that's made me a much more calmer, measured leader and colleague. I'm also continuing to give my team more space to step up, so empowering them to lead and make choices rather than me having to jump in and think I have to fix it or hold everything myself. I also noticed the drama triangles around me. So when I used to get swept up in them, usually as a hero or a victim, and now that I'm more self-aware and aware of team dynamics and how people have different needs and different languages of connection, I can just step back from it, assess, or go away, come back. I don't have to react in the moment, channel my queen energy, and be much more diplomatic as a leader and a colleague. So it's a huge win on so many ways, so many levels, and psychological principles that I apply now as I lead.
Thank you for sharing all that. as I listen to you, I'm beaming with joy at all the techniques, all the models, all the approaches that I shared with you and how you integrated that to genuinely, level up your influence and leadership within the workplace. And on that note, what feedback or reactions did you notice from others as you really started to show up with more confidence and leadership presence?
Yeah, well, I got a lot of feedback from the leadership team. They would come up to me and say, "Oh, I love every time you present. I just love the presence you have, and you are so eloquent when you speak." I'm like, "Wow, thank you." I used to have these very opposite beliefs about myself, but to hear it and validated from people in senior positions was a real confidence boost, which added to my growth there. But I've also noticed more engagement and trust with colleagues, not even just outside of my immediate team. So I'm getting more opportunities to present, for examples, attend conferences. This week I was invited to attend a conference, or to provide my thoughts and feedback on projects, because I've raised that visibility, I've raised that credibility, and so people are more open to coming to me. But on the flip side, I've also noticed some people are not used to this new confident
Yes.
version of me, and they're not always a fan of that. So it's been very eye-opening to see who's rooting for you and happy for your success, but who isn't as well, or who wants to kind of stay low and keep you low. So I've learned a lot about not only myself, but other people's behaviors and dynamics.
Yeah, what a sensational share. Thank you so much for that. And that is such a true point. So when we start making changes in our life, particularly around, in the workplace, you're highly visible, particularly as a leader, and, you're making changes, you're putting new boundaries in place, you're now speaking in a different way, leading with even more confidence. That sometimes ruffles some feathers from others around us. But as you know, and we've shared in our coaching, I have a phrase around this, that we train people to treat us the way we wish to be treated. And in doing that, it just allows people to feel safe within the boundaries that we've set for ourselves and with them. And when we do this sort of thing, we've got to acknowledge that as we start to move in a particular pathway, not everyone's going to be aligned with that. But as we do it with authenticity, as you've done, and from a heart-centered space, as you've done, it's surprising when other people start looking around and noticing, and then they sort of start catching up. They're like, hang on, if this person is leading this way and they're going, in this kind of direction in the organization, perhaps I could model some of that too. And before you know it, that ripple effect occurs. And no doubt you've seen that, within your workplace. One thing I loved seeing was your confidence and how it did start flowing into other areas. And, you've on your personal side of life, you had an audition opportunity came up. And what was the moment for you where you decided, yeah, you know what, I'm going to be inspired now to take this leap?
Yeah, it was when I could see that confidence and that trust in myself was there. I thought about it for a while about doing this audition, but I always found reasons not to, because of the fear holding me back, or thinking, oh no, I'll do it next year, or no, I'm not really that good enough. So coaching really helped me get to that point where, no, I can back myself no matter what, no matter if I fail, even though it's not really a fail, whatever happens, because you're always learning something. So I finally went for it, and just doing it and actually getting accepted into an audition already felt like such a huge win. And then I used several techniques and tools like breath work, movement, mantras throughout the audition internally, to really stay in the right headspace. And I was in flow the whole time. So I'm really proud of myself for just doing it, no matter what the outcome. I'm just going to do this for me and invest in me and do the hard work. And after months of work and preparation and thinking about it, I'm just so proud I did it. So, yeah.
That's sensational. I'm proud of you too, because you really showed great courage to do what you did and going for that on a personal level. And you mentioned that sense of pride. What else did it feel like going for something that had been on your radar for some time? And how's that sort of experience even influenced you?
Yeah, I think it's just liberating. I just did it no matter what people thought or what the outcome, knowing that it would just be like water off a duck's back. Like, nothing can affect my confidence and my belief in myself. So it reinforced that notion of I can back myself, and that opens more doors because who knows what else will come of this. It's a stepping stone to something else. So I also discovered that I'm able to quickly adapt, level up, and just go for something. In just 2 months, once the audition was confirmed, I just leveled up in the skills I needed in preparation. So imagine if I go for another big goal in a year from now, and how prepared and leveled up I'm going to be. So it's real evidence of my work ethic, my discipline, and my talent, and that's all getting cemented and rippling out into all different areas of my life.
I love that. Look at that confidence. That's next level in itself. So good. And at what point did you feel then that the momentum really started building in our coaching sessions, and what helped you get there?
I think around session 2 or 3, once I understood and prioritized my values and my strengths, and applying the small techniques in everyday life straight away, like the reframing with the thought model, noticing the drama triangles, matching and mirroring people, and better connecting with their needs and their languages, you could see the results almost immediately. And that gave me momentum because I was like, oh, wow, this is actually working in real time straight away. It's not just fluff. It's not just a concept or spiritual woo-woo. It's real. And I see it. So that momentum kept me going. It came really fast.
That's it. Thanks for the share. And that's the thing in our style of coaching, as you know, work with me, it's very practical. We're not chatting about theories here. We're like, no, this is the stuff. Let's get this implemented. Let's see the results. Great. Let's have that sensation of that win and then build on that, in the following week. And as you describe, it can happen really quickly. Session 2, session 3, we're already kicking goals, as you were. On that note then, because I know we were working on this very early in the piece too, what beliefs or patterns did you feel that you really let go of just in order to start really backing yourself and level up?
Yeah, the idea that I reached the maximum or ceiling of my career, or that I was too old to go for something new, change. I had to be perfect to be effective, and I had this belief that people didn't respect me, which was a real victim mentality that I've held on to for very long, because it's easier to say, oh, it's all their fault, rather than taking accountability. So letting go of all those false stories really freed me up to be more present with myself and like what I really believe and who I really am, and put the focus back on just tapping into my strengths and values. I keep bringing this up because I think that's such a powerful practice, to keep looking, what are my values? Because they keep evolving and changing as well. So as soon as you're like linked up with that, you can just lead better in life.
Definitely. And thank you so much for that share and being so open there in the things you let go of to be able to move forward, and how freeing it is when we do that and we can realize, you know what? Those old stories and beliefs, they're not serving me anymore. Now I'm going to lead with my values front and center and watch how my life aligns there. And that's certainly what you did. So thank you for that. It's a very powerful, learning exercise for all of us to do this kind of deep work and be able to then practically move forward through it. So if you look back now, what was one unexpected win, maybe a moment of clarity, or even just a point where you were surprised along the way?
I think just realizing that these confidence and this new version of me, it's not just at work, it's not just in the work presentations or how I show up, with my colleagues and meetings, but it's also the way it just spills into my personal life as well. Like I've noticed the way I communicate with my husband, my family, my friends. I have better boundaries and I communicate them more clearly because I'm just more assured of myself. I know my self-worth more. And I think it's going to be a constant journey and a lot of constant reminding and journaling, which I'm doing daily now as well. So that's a huge win because I thought, oh no, this is more just for my professional life, but it's really affected my personal life a lot as well, maybe even more so.
How wonderful. I love that. And it just goes to show how when we start this transformation, there are these flow-on effects. And what I love about that as well is that, you've just embraced this with such gusto. You haven't limited yourself to thinking, oh, this is just for work. You're like, hey, this is absolutely now becoming integrated into my personal life too. And you've taken it on that, on that pathway, and been continuing to level up. And yes, I agree. I think it's an ongoing journey, self-development, but to have that kind of awareness, self-awareness that you've got, that you're now using just to continue to level up and use the tools you've got to do so, that's props to you for sure. And if we go now as a bit of a wrap up, thinking what you might recommend for someone who's stuck, say they're stuck in their career, say they want to elevate their confidence like you did, say, they want to just start trying to do things differently so that they can feel like they're more in flow with their life and at work. What would you say to encourage them to sort of take that first step?
I think don't wait until you feel ready or you think you're not senior enough or far enough in your career or your life to get coaching, because it can help with at any stage of your life. It gives you that support, that accountability, the tools to get to wherever you want to get to. No goal is too small. So just take that first step and the growth will come faster than you think. You'll be so surprised.
Thank you. That's a wonderful share. So here's the thing. If you're watching now and you're thinking, yeah, you know what, I'd like to level up my leadership. I'd like to take my career, my life, my business to the next level. Well, you can find out more at 𝐿ifeCoachingCo.com.au. You can also find us on Facebook. So that's facebook.com/The Life Coaching Co. And we're on Instagram too, simply at The Life Coaching Co. So thanks again, Luana, for sharing your journey with us today. I can't wait to see what you do next. It's going to be a continual pathway upwards. I know that for sure. And to everyone who's tuning in, thank you so much for joining us. And remember, until next time, master your mindset, secure your success.